friends, it's Rana, and at the end of September, I've posted a 2-minute video telling you that I'm gonna challenge myself to read only Stephen King in the month of October. And I'm here today to wrap things up, tell you how it went, and to give you a very short review for each book I've read. So buckle up, make some popcorn for yourself, because I have a feeling that it will be a hella long video, but I'm gonna try to make it as short as I can. I'll review the books in order of how I read them, but be patient with me because the first few books I didn't really enjoy, but things got better, thank God. So I've managed to read 10 books by Stephen King in the month of October with the total pages of 2,492. And the book that I started my month with is Cycle of the Werewolf. It was published in 1983 with 128 pages. So I've decided for this book to be my first read of the month because it is the shortest in my list, but it is too short that I'm afraid of spoiling it. So basically it is about a werewolf in a small town, and every month when the moon is full, he attacks and kills someone. I really like werewolves stories and I enjoyed this one. I read it in one sitting, I think, without stopping. It was quick and good, but I gave it 3 out of 5 stars, not because it was bad, but the reason is, and I don't believe that I'm saying this about a Stephen King book, it was too short for me. Everything was happening so fast, back to back, and I wanted it to be longer. I think if it was 100 pages longer, I would have rated it higher and enjoyed it more. The second book that I've read is Thinner. It was published in 1984 under his pseudonym Richard Bachman with 433 pages. Here we follow the story of attorney Billy Halleck, who is an overweight man, and one day while driving, he hits a gypsy woman and she ends up dying. And somehow, because he has some connections, he doesn't get punished in court. And the father of this gypsy woman, he is very old man, he gets angry and curses Billy. He curses him by touching his face and uttering one single word, thinner. And from that moment on, Billy starts losing his weight in a really unnatural speed and becoming thinner and thinner each day. I ended up really disliking this book. I didn't find it to be thrilling or scary, rather I found it to be really boring. Other than being boring, there is this thing that I really hate when I am reading a Stephen King book, is that he always insert unnecessarily adult scenes in his books that doesn't add anything to the story and you can avoid using them. I also found this book to be really problematic with all the underlying racism and sexualizing women. The next book that I read is Riding the Bullet. It was published in the year 2000 with 66 pages. So this book is about a college student who hitchhikes to go and visit his mother in the hospital after she had a stroke. Weird things start happening when a man picks him up, and it was a good book at the start, but it got really boring in the middle and the end ruined everything for me. When I read the last page, I was like, that's it? Really? That's it? So I gave it 2 out of 5 stars. Next, I've read Carrie. It was published in 1974 with 253 pages. I was really looking forward for Carrie. It is one of his most popular works and it is even his first published one. I've never watched the movie, but I was familiar with the prom bloody scene thanks to the internet. So the story is about this high school girl who is overweight and she is heavily bullied in her school. She also has a very strict mother, and above all of that, she has some powers. I was expecting to like it way more than I did. I give it in the end 3 out of 5 stars. It was not as scary as it was traumatizing for me, especially the bullying scenes. I didn't enjoy it as much as everyone, but at least now I can know what is the hype is about. And I understand it, believe me, I understand it, but it is not my cup of tea. Next, I've read Elevation. It was published in 2018 with 146 pages. Elevation is one of King's newer works. It is a novella following this man who suddenly, without any known reason, starts losing his weight only on the scale. His outer shape doesn't change and he still looks overweight, but he is rapidly losing weight on the scale every day. The book is not only about this, it is also about his relationship with the married lesbian couple next door. The following may be surprising for you to hear about Stephen King's book, but it was a light, heartwarming story, and there is no horror element in it whatsoever. And I was flabbergasted when I found out that it won Goodreads Choice Award in the year 2018 for Hear This Out. Best horror book. Yeah, it's not a horror book and it won the horror category. What the F, people?
Listen, people.
Stephen King doesn't only write horror novels, okay? I believe that he can slap his name on a children picture book and people will think it is scary. Anyway, I really enjoyed Elevation and I give it 4 out of 5 stars and I loved the ending. And when I finished listening to Elevation, the audiobook turned out to be 2-in-1 with another short story in the audiobook. So I've decided to listen to it too, given that it is short, but it wasn't on my TBR video. It is called Laurie with 32 pages. Laurie is a short story about this recent widower who was gifted an unwanted dog by his sister to help him with his grief. It was very short and sweet. I gave it 3.5 out of 5 stars. The next book is The Girl Who Loved Tom Gordon. It was published in 1999 with 272 pages. This book is about a 9-year-old girl called Trisha who looks older than her age, which was mentioned dozens of times throughout the book. Every weekend, her newly divorced mother takes her and her older brother into an adventure, but her brother is always bickering with their mother. This weekend, she takes them to a long hike in the wilderness, and as always, her brother is bickering with their mother. And Trisha wants to pee. So she goes off the trail to answer the call of the nature, and she gets lost, even though she didn't go far away. She tries and fails to go back to the trail. She only has some food and a Walkman that she listened to some baseball games with her favorite pitcher Tom Gordon, and the survival story starts from here with some weird things happening. I also didn't like this book. I didn't enjoy it at all. I found it to be slow and boring, so I gave it 2 out of 5 stars. I think it's been a long time since King was a kid because it shows in Trisha she doesn't think or act like a 9-year-old girl alone in the forest. She feels more like a smart teenager, except for that scene where she threw a tantrum alone in the middle of nowhere. The rest of the book, she made really mature decisions for a 9-year-old trying to survive. The next book is Misery. It was published in 1987 with 368 pages. At this point, I was really feeling down because I was anticipating to enjoy this reading challenge. And I was really thinking about abandoning this old Stephen King challenge because I've only liked one book so far. Then I started Misery, and it is precisely everything that I always imagined a Stephen King book to be. Misery is about Paul Sheldon, a novelist who suddenly wakes up in this woman's house who claims that he was in a car accident that ended up to shatter his body and put it in a really bad state, and she found him and is taking care of him because she is a nurse, and she also turns out to be his biggest fan. I really like this novel, and Annie is one of the evilest characters I've ever read, and I really despised her with every cell in my body. I was going to lose my mind from how many times I've heard her say the word cock-a-doodle or something like that.
He didn't get out of the cock-a-doodle car!
It is the only book that I've read in October that I found to be really terrifying. I rated it 4 out of 5 stars. I really don't understand how King wrote great books like Misery, Pet Sematary, and 11/22/63, and at the same time he also wrote really bad books like the other ones mentioned in this video. I don't know, maybe every author has his ups and downs. The next book is The Institute. It was published in 2019 with 618 pages. This is the newest release in my list. It also won Goodreads Choice Award for Best Horror Novel for 2019. It has many elements in it and can't be categorized under many things like thriller, sci-fi, a little bit of fantasy, and paranormal. But more than anything, I felt like it has a very YA dystopian vibe. This book is about a group of people who kidnap children with special abilities like telekinesis and telepathy, and they go and put them in the institution where their rooms look exactly the same as their bedrooms back home, and they make some experiments on them for reasons that are revealed for us later in the book. And we follow the story of Luke, who is one of these kids, but what makes him more special is that he is very smart. The concept of this book isn't very original. We have seen it many times before, but I really liked how Stephen King done it in this book. Nothing mind-blowing about it, but it was a fun read with interesting setting and realistic characters. As for my rating, I give it 4 out of 5 stars, and here is the thing. I believe that I never said this anywhere before, but I believe that Stephen King's newer books are way better than his older works. I know many of you will highly disagree with me, but I find that he has improved a lot through the years, especially his writing style. His newer improved writing style is one of my favorites, whereas I really disliked his older writing style in his earlier works. It is just my opinion, and please take it with a grain of salt because I didn't read that much of his books. And the last book that I've concluded my reading challenge with is Gwendy's Bottom Box. It was published in 2017 with 176 pages. This book is co-authored by King and his friend Richard Chismar, and it follows the story of Gwendy, who is a 20-year-old fat girl. Side note, I think King is obsessed with weight. Like 4 out of 10 books I've read in October are about overweight people, and it is too much. So one summer, Gwendy decides to lose weight, so she goes on walks on these stairs in the town of Castle Rock, and one day on the top of the stairs she meets this mysterious man that is wearing mostly black with the black hat, and he gives her this mysterious box with colored buttons on it, and each one of these buttons has a specific purpose. And the story goes from here after Gwendy takes the box and her journey with it through the years. I surprisingly enough enjoyed this book, and I give it 3.5 out of 5 stars. So I read all the books that were in my TBR video except one, which is Insomnia, and that because I think I've burnt myself out by reading all these King's books. And I heard that Insomnia is related somehow with the Dark Tower series, so in the end I decided not to read it in October after all. I really enjoyed challenging myself to read only Stephen King for a whole month, but I found out that his books are either a hit or a miss for me, and October was mostly a miss. Reading 10 books by King back to back really tired me out, so I think I'm gonna take a break for a while from his novels. That being said, I feel like you will catch me in a month or two reading another King's book, and it will probably be The Shining or Salem's Lot. So that's it for all the books that I have read for the Stephen King challenge. Please tell me in the comment section below what is your favorite book by him. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!